الحمد لله الذي له جنود السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله العليم الكريم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب. وقال الله تعالى وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. صدق الله العظيم. Respectful honorable friends and mothers and sisters, we are gathered here for a very important topic and issue and matter, and in the cause of this discourse I would like to shed the importance of why we are gathered here, as well as to dismiss any misconceptions we may have with regards to what is happening in Syria and elsewhere in the world. My dear friends, when we see our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters suffering, there are times Shaitan puts into our mind that these people are suffering due to some wrong that they have done. And there will be such people who have that thought in their mind that this is some azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dear friends, there are two things. One is azab al-iqam, and the other is I.T.A. One is punishment, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes an individual or He punishes a nation or an area. The other is I.T.A. I.T.A. is test. A test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts upon people. And we need to understand and be able to differentiate between the two. When it comes to the matter of Syria, my dear friends, this is no azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all. If anybody has that in their minds, then they should remove that from their minds. Because what we do is, we just look at the apparent of a person, and on that we start making judgments. My dear friends, it is not an azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but rather it is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests people, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests those who are most closest to Him. The special ones are the ones who get tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions in the hadith, أَشَدُّ الْبَلَاءِ الْأَنْبِيَا ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلْ فَالْأَمْثَلْ. That the most tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inflicted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are the Anbiya alayhi salatu salam, and then those who are closest to them. And we cannot say that the Anbiya have been punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were the most closest to Allah, but they were tested the most by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then those who were the closest to the Anbiya, they were then tested just as much. That we find that the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, they were tested greatly because of their closeness to Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam. Ka'b bin Arad radiallahu ta'ala mentions that on one occasion he came to Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam whilst Nabi Kareem sallallahu sallam was resting against the walls of the Baytullah. And he came and he said to Nabi Kareem, and he says that I came, why? Because قَلَّقِينَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ شِدَّةً, that we had faced a lot of hardship from the mushrikeen. Such hardship that became very difficult for us to tolerate. So he came and the Sahaba came to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that, "O Nabi of Allah, do you not ask from Allah, do you not make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eases our suffering?" Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam hearing this, his face became red, meaning that he became angry. He moved away from the Baytullah and he said to the Sahaba who were gathered there, that there was a man before you, prior to this ummah, and because of him being a believer and because of his iman, he was tested to a certain extent that he was told to renounce his deen, and when he declined, a saw was placed on his temple and he was sawn in two. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that did not stop him away or turn him away from his deen. And then Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that another person, where iron combs were used in order to comb away his flesh, where his flesh and his muscles and his tendon were torn away from his bones. And even that too would not take him away from his deen. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded the Sahaba, look, this is how people prior to you were tested because of their firmness upon deen. And then Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned a time will come when a person will travel from Sana to Hazramut without any fear but for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the fear of the wolf on his flock. And then Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, وَلَكِنَّكُمْ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ, but it seems that you are in a haste. Seems that you are in a haste. Just to be like we as well. We feel and we think that 2 years have passed. How come things have not changed as yet? We just want automatically things to change and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us victory. Here Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioning that how prior to us, people because of their iman, they have been tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Muslim Ahmadullah has mentioned an incident in his Muslim Sharif. And this incident, dear friends, the beginning of it, I should just make it concise because it is the latter part that is very important to us, and you will understand where I'm coming from when we come to that part. There was a king, and this king had a sorcerer who worked for him. When the sorcerer became old, he asked the king to appoint a deputy or an apprentice, a younger person who could learn sorcery so that he can now take over from him. So the king had appointed a young boy, and this boy daily would come and he would learn sorcery from this magician. However, on his way to the magician, on the way he would meet and he would pass a monk, a person of religion, a person of Tawheed. And when he would meet him, this monk would give him the lesson of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this boy liked what he was hearing from him, and this boy became a believer. So daily what he would do is, that on his way to the magician, he would stop over by this monk and he would learn whatever lessons of Tawheed and spirituality from him. In this manner, he had acquired great closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day once, he was going on his way. In the middle of the town, a beast came out and started shouting the people. People could not pass by. When he saw this, he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the time where I can now put to test what I have learned. What I have learned from the sorcerer, the magician, and what I have learned from this monk. And he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma in kana amru rahib ahabba ilayka min rahib asahir. If faqul hadidam, then if the knowledge or the matter that the monk has taught me, that is more beloved to you than that which the magician has taught me, then kill this animal, this beast. He picked up a stone and he threw it and he killed the beast. When he killed the beast, the people saw the miracle that he had done, due to which they all came flocking to him, and he also brought them into the fold of Islam. He now arrived to the monk and told the monk as to what had happened. The monk, hearing this, said to him that due to this incident, now I will be disclosed to people. And at the same time, you are going to be put under great tests. That because of your iman, you're going to be put under great tests. Now this young person, through the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would make dua, give them da'wah towards Islam, towards Tawheed. They would accept Tawheed. And then he would make dua and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cure them from various illnesses. It so happened one of the courtiers of the king was blind. He heard of him, so he came along as well. He gave him whole loads of gifts. And he said to him, all these gifts are yours if you can cure me. To which the youngster said, look, it is not I who cures. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who cures. Who is Allah? So he gave him dawah of tawheed. And when this person now brought Iman, this youngster made dua for him, due to which his sight was restored. When his sight was restored, next day when he sat in the court of the king noticed that the one who usually walks in stumbling and walks in with his stick, and he comes and he's shuffling about and he needs to be helped to put in his place. Now he's walking without his stick and he's walking as normal. He sat there and he's looking the king in the eye. So he looked at him and asked him that who restored your sight? What form of magic? Or what form of treatment? What is it that restored your sight? To which this courtier, he said to him, Rabbi, that my Rabb, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has restored my sight. The king said to him that Alaka Rabbi Ghayri, that do you have a Lord besides me? To which he said, yes, Rabbi wa Rabbukullah, my Lord and your Lord. Now the king here, who had his people worshipping him, is saying to him that do you have another Lord but me? And I'm sure that Dr. Samir who is here will give us such incidents and show us what is happening in Syria. That in Syria it isn't just a matter of a tyrant going mad. It isn't just a case of a tyrant meeting out his tyranny on the people. But there it is a case of where this tyrant wants the people to actually worship him. He wants the people to worship him. This way this king now said to him, that do you have a Rabb, a Lord besides me? To which he says, yes, my Lord and your Lord. To which the king then punished him, as who is the one who has taught you such? To which he indicated towards this young person. This young boy was brought to him and he was beaten up until he disclosed the monk. The monk then was called, and the king then beat him up and said to him, look, renounce this tawheed, renounce your deen. Renounce your deen and accept me to be your Lord. To which this monk, he declined. And what was his punishment? A saw was brought and he was sawn in two. He was sawn in two. Why? Because he would not renounce his deen. He would not accept the king to be the Lord. For that he was sawn in two. Then the courtier was born. And he was also told that renounce your deen, otherwise you will face the same punishment. He again refused. And the king as well had him sawn in two. Then the boy was brought. And he was told that renounce your deen as well. Which he declined. So the king has said to his men to take him. Take him to the peak of the highest mountain and throw him over. Make him meet his doom in such a manner so that it is a lesson for others as well. This boy happily went. And when they went on top of the mountain, the boy said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma finihim bima shi'ta. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, suffice for me as you will. And what had happened is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the mount shake. And in the shaking of the mount, the king's men, they all toppled over and they died. And this boy, he, well and fit and well, he came back to the king. The king was dumbfounded on seeing him. He said, what had happened? And he told him what had happened. Then again he told other men of Hafiza, take him into the midst of the ocean and throw him over. Again they took him in the midst of the ocean. He made the same dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whilst in the boat started shaking and these men toppled over and he was left safe. Again he returned. And when he returned, the king again was shocked. Now this boy said to the king, look, there is only one way that you can actually kill me. Only one way that you can kill me. What is that? He said, call all the people in a certain field. And there hang me by a tree. And then from my own quiver, take my arrow. Take that arrow and recite Bismillahi Rabbil Ghulam. That in the name of Allah, the Lord of this boy. Take these words and then fire the arrow. That's the only way you can get rid of me. So the king did this. And in doing so, he called all the people in the vicinity, came there. The king had his men, and he took the quiver out, the arrow from the quiver, decided, Bismillah Rabbil Ghulam, fired the arrow, and it hit him on the temple. The boy, when it hit him on the temple, placed his hand there, put his head down, and he met his Lord, and he became shaheed. When this happened, all the people that were there, they all had recited the kalima. Seeing this, they all had recited the kalima. Now the men of the king, all his men, they said to him that, look, what you were fearing has now happened, that because of him and this incident, so many people have become believers. And when that was the case, the king had trenches dug, and trenches filled with fire. And one by one he was telling the people, either renounce your deen or go into the fire. And the people of Iman, dear friends, instead of renouncing their deen, willingly they fell and they jumped into the fire. To that extent, finally there was one mother who had a baby in her hand, and when she came to the trench, she hesitated for a while. And when she hesitated for that while, the child spoke and said, Ya Ummah, tasbiri fa innaki ala haqq. That, O mother, have sabr as you are on haqq. Do not worry and go into the fire. Because for them that fire was not fire, but that was Jannah. As Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, when Dajjal will come, Dajjal, he'll have his Jannah. But Jannatuhu naru, his Jannah will be fire. Wa naruhu Jannah, but his fire will be Jannah. Where the believers will be told to go into the fire, but that in actual fact will be Jannah. So these people, my dear friends, for the sake of their Iman, they were persecuted in such a manner. Today we find, and history always repeats itself, that our brothers and sisters in Syria are only being persecuted because they do not want to accept Bashar to be their Lord. And the same thing that happened in the past is happening now as well. When a picture of him will be brought in front, and a person will be told to go and prostrate to him, and if they do not prostrate to him, then they find a bullet in the brain. This is what is happening there, my dear friends. Where a person is declining to accept him to be their Lord, and warm oil is placed over him and he's burnt. Just the way the people prior would be put on the test. And this is why, because of their firmness upon Iman. And my dear friends, this is what makes the people of Syria so unique, that when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith has described the people of Sham and the people of Syria, my dear friends, it is only when we see what is happening now that we fully understand what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about the people of Sham. Now where do I start? There are so many hadiths where Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has praised not only the land of Sham, of Syria, and the surrounding areas, but he has actually praised the people that live there, the people of there as well, by mentioning that they are the best of people. And today we firmly and we can surely see this what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said. My dear friends, although after Hijrat, Madinatul Munawwara was the center of Islam, but then after you find, after the demise of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the markaz and the headquarters of Islam moved from Madinatul Munawwara to the lands of Sham. And in order for that to happen, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam would constantly send out expeditions in the air in that location, so that location can be conquered by the Muslims, so that it can be prepared for the time when it will be the place of Sultanate. It will be the headquarters of Islam. And during the Khulafa Rashidin, this would happen. The center was no longer Madinatul Munawwara, but the center of Islam was Sham. As Kabin Ahbab, rahimahullah, mentions, when he quotes a passage from the Torah describing Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he mentions that Mawliduhu Makkah wa hijratuhu Tayyiba wa mulkuhu ash-Sham, that he will be born in Makkah al-Mukarramah. His place of hijrah will be Madinatul Munawwara, but his religion and the governing of that will take place in the place of Sham. My dear friends, a Sahabi by the name of Abdullah ibn Hawala radiallahu ta'ala mentions The Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said to him that سيصير أن يكون الأمر جندا جنودا جند في الشام جند في اليمن جند في العراق. He said to him that a time will come, and this is referring to later on towards the time of Qiyamah. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him that the Muslims will be divided into various battalions, different groups. And one major battalion will be in Sham, one in Iraq, and one will be in Yemen. Abdullah ibn Hawarillah asked Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Khir ya Rasulullah in adabtu dhalik." That, O Nabi of Allah, which do you recommend? If I am around that time, which one do you recommend? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned to him, "عليك بالشام فإنها خيرة الله من أرضه يجتبي إليها من خيرة عباده." That take and adopt the lands of Sham, as that is the most beloved land of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will draw to Sham the most beloved of His servants. Here Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not just praise the land of Sham, but also the people of Sham, that they were the best of people. And then Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadith mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tawakkal li bi-shawahri, that Allah has given me trust and promise with regards to the protection of Sham and the people of Sham. Because of the role that Sham will play prior to the day of Qiyamah. That when it comes to the major events that will take place, just imagine Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu salam, when he will come, he's not going to come in Makkatul Mukarram or Madinatul Munawwara, but it is the auspicious land of Dimashq, of Damascus, that has the honor of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu salam ascending there. And this is what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith. He has even taken the name of Damascus. That when he says that a time will come when Damascus will be conquered, and then when you have a choice of which land to go to, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam says to the Muslims that go to a land there called Dimashq. You call it Dimashq. A land that is called Dimashq. Why? Because this is Maqidul Muslimeen min al-Malahim. That when the major wars will take place, this will be the place of sanctuary for the believers. The place of sanctuary will be Damascus. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that. In another ayah, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, رَأَيْتُ أُمُودًا مِن نُورٍ خَرَجَ مِن تَحْتِ الرَّأْسِ سَاطِعًا حَتَّى اسْتَقَرَّ بِالشَّامِ. That I had seen a pillar of nur, and this pillar of nur erupted from below me, and it went and it took refuge in the lands of Sham. The pillar of Iman took rest in Sham. That's what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in another hadith. That when the time comes when people will become weak in the Iman, then if you want Iman, then look at the people of Sham, they are the ones who will have Iman. Today, my dear friends, when we know how weak we are in Iman, if you want to see Iman in Syria today. How they are put in front of persecution. The firing squad is in front of them. Mothers and sisters have the option of either renouncing their deen or protecting their honor. These are the tests that they have been put through. But we see how their Iman is firm and they manifest their Iman. That a person, he's been told to renounce his deen, but he's still saying Ahad, Ahad, Ahad. As Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala did. And due to which, because he puts his hand up, his hand is chopped off, but you find that his finger is erect. He's dying with Iman. And this is the when Iman, and my dear friends, this is true. I speak for myself that if I was to be put under such a situation, I would not know what would happen with my Iman. But these are those people, my dear friends, who have been tested solely for the Iman. But despite that, you find that they are so firm on Iman. Just as the Nabi mentioned that is where you will find the manifestation of Iman in the people of Sham. And due to which Nabi mentions, إِذَا فَسَدَ الشَّامُ فَلَا خَيْرَ فِيكُمْ. That when the people of Sham, if they become corrupt, then you will find no goodness at all. Because they are going to be the example of Iman. So when we talk about the situation of Sham, we're not just talking about any part of the world, my dear friends. We are talking about a very important part of the world. We're not just talking about any people, but we're talking about very important people as well, my dear friends. And Sham is that place which is so fortunate. There's so many Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala had also lived there and had passed away there. Walid in Muslim rahimahullah mentions that دخلت الشام أشهر آلاف عين رأت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. That's 10,000 such eyes, meaning people who had seen Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam have entered into Sham, referring to the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala. The hadiths are many different. Now this is one misconception that I wanted to remove from you. That do not think that these are those people who have been put under the situation they are as a form of punishment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A test for us itself. To see what Iman should be. What Iman should be. And we've all seen the various coverage in various media outlets. That despite all that they're going through, they have not lost hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you and I were sat here in our comfort, we are wondering where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they who are there, they have not lost hope in Allah. They might have lost hope on their brothers and sisters throughout the world. They might have lost hope on various governments throughout the world. But they have not lost hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are the ones questioning, where is Allah, why things are not being. But they still, despite the condition that they are, bombarded not just once but twice and over and over. But despite that, they still say and they know that the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come. So it is a test from Allah. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Do you expect and think that you're going to go and enter into Jannah without being tested like those who before you? مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا. That the hardships and difficulties came upon them to that extent that they were shaken. And not only were they shaken, but even the Nabi of the time was so shaken that they would say, Mata Nasrullah, they would be so helpless now that they would have to ask, when is now the help of Allah going to come? This is how people were put under test. But their being put under test was in order to strengthen the Iman. And obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made and chosen them to be the best of people, so they are the ones who are going to be tested the most, my dear friends. That is one. The other misconception, my dear friends, is the majority who are sat here, we have no ties whatsoever to the Middle East. We have no ties whatsoever to the Middle East. And then Shaitan may put this into our minds as well. Now when that is the case, then why do we need to be here for? We're not Syrians, we're not Arabs. Why should we be here? And this is what happens. If something happens in Asia, if something happens in Burma, then it becomes an issue for the Burmese only, the Muslims of Burma only. Something happens in Bangladesh, it becomes a matter for only the Muslims of Bangladesh. Something happens in Pakistan, something happens in India, it becomes only settled for them. So you may think that, why do we need to be here? My dear friends, the reason why we need to be here is, as when Hafiza had mentioned to you, the word ummah. This is what we are. And this is what makes us so unique to others. That we are a ummah. And what is a ummah? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, Al-mu'minu lil-mu'mini kal-bunyani yashuddu ba'dahu ba'dan wa shabbaka bayna asabi'ahu. Nabi Kareem mentions that a believer for another believer is like a building that interlocks, the bricks interlock into one another. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed his hand in such a manner that this is what a ummah is. This is what Muslims are. It is for that reason that we are here today. It is for that reason that you see the ambulances outside. It is for this reason that you find the brothers who have been and returned and are going again. It is for this reason that we have such events, because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has made us one ummah. And what is the meaning of one ummah? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam even defines that further for us. مَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي تَوَدُّمِهِمْ وَتَرَاحُمِهِمْ وَتَوَدُّمِهِمْ مَثَلُ الْجَسَدِ إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عُضْوًا تَدَاعَى إِلَى سَائِرِ الْجَسَدِ بِالصَّوْمِ وَالْهُمَّةِ. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that the example of a believer is like that of a body. A body. And the body is such that if one part of our body is in pain, then the entire body feels that pain. And Nabi Kareem mentions in what? He says that the illness, it moves, and the entire body feels it. In sleeplessness and in fever. Meaning that if our thumb has been cut off, or if there's some infection or something wrong with our thumb, throughout the night we cannot sleep. It is the thumb that is in pain, but our entire body feels it, due to which we cannot sleep at night. That is what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, that this is how what believers are. This is what ummah is. That if one brother is in pain in Syria, then the Muslims of Dewsbury should be feeling that pain as well. Because of the suffering of one brother in Syria, the believer in Dewsbury or elsewhere in the world, he should not be able to sleep at night. The sum is sore. The whole body cannot sleep at night. If one Muslim is suffering, the entire ummah should not be able to sleep at night. This is the meaning of a ummah. And it is for that purpose that we are here, dear friends, to show, to fulfill the obligation of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam of us being an ummah. And by us being an ummah, my dear friends, it will also show when our aid goes and it meets, and it goes to fulfill the needs of our brothers and sisters there in Sham, at least they will also know that they do have brothers and sisters who are remembering them in Dewsbury and other parts of the world. And dear friends, we are not doing whatever aid that will be raised today, funds that will be raised today. We have to remember one thing, dear friends. We are not doing this for them. We are not doing them any favor. We are just doing ourselves a favor by giving them. We are here for our own selves. So in order that we benefit ourselves by helping them. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions al-mu'minu al-muslim akhul mu'min. That a believer is a brother of another believer. That la yaslimu wa la yaslimu. He doesn't do any oppression upon him. Neither does he hand him over to any enemy of his. Man kana, Nabi Kareem mentioned, man kana fi hajati akhihi kana Allahu fi hajatihi. That the one who is there at the time, he is there during the suffering and the hardship of his fellow Muslim brother, Allah will be there in his times of hardship and difficulty. Man farraja al-muslimin kurbatan farraja Allahu anhu biha kurbatan min kurbil yawm al-qiyamah. That the one who removes any difficulty from any other believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove from him the difficulties on the day of Qiyamah. So if we do something good today, that will assist and help somebody in Syria, we are helping ourselves on the day of Qiyamah, so we are doing ourselves a favor. And this is what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. So we are doing ourselves a favor. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the hadith, Man azza sukla kufi lahu burdan fil jannah. That man azza sukla kufi lahu burdan fil jannah. That Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that person who gives warm words, or who gives condolences to that mother who has lost her child, will be given a garment to wear in Jannah. Just by giving a woman, a mother, consoling words, Nabi Kareem mentioned that he will be given a garment of Jannah. If you're given a garment of Jannah, we're not going to wear that and go into Jahannam. That is guaranteed that a person is going to go into Jannah. And here, my dear friends, there isn't just one mother who's lost her child. There are those mothers who have lost more than just her child. They have lost their entire families. They have lost their own dignity and honor. So here, by us helping in such a manner, we will be from those people who will be entering into Jannah. So we're just making our own Jannah. We're doing ourselves a favor and not doing them a favor. We are here for our own akhirat. We are here for our own need. So remember, dear friends, do not think for any moment that we are here so that we are helping other individuals, but it's a case of we are here, and by being here we are helping ourselves. So when the time comes, dear friends, when the appeal takes place, then do not shy whatsoever in helping here. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam elsewhere mentions in the hadith that the one who gives clothes to the one who doesn't have clothes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give that person garment to wear in Jannah. The one who feeds the one who doesn't have food, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him from the fruits of Jannah. The one who gives to drink, the one who has no water, Allah will give him to drink from the Rahim al-Makhtum in Jannah. So this is how we can be acquiring our own Jannah. And when it comes to giving, my dear friends, this is the least that we can do. From the least things, as Maulana mentioned earlier on, from that of making dua, which is something that each and every single person can do. And making dua won't cost anything at all. But my dear friends, we are here today not just for dua, but for the main part, and that is the fundraising. And when that takes place, my dear friends, do not think twice and give willingly. Give and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentioned the hadith that daily 2 angels, they proclaim and say, Allahumma ati munfikan khalafan wa ati mumsikan talafan. That O Allah, give the one who gives, and O Allah, take away from the one who hoards. That the one who spends on others, Allah give him. As when Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentions, Ibn Adam, anfiq alayk, spend and Allah will give you. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu said to say, Bilal Allah Ta'ala, that O Bilal, la takhsha min zil arsh ighlalan. That O Bilal, do not fear poverty from the one who is the owner of the arsh. You give and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you as well. And this is a good opportunity for us, my dear friends, to be able to acquire our own Jannah. Do not think twice, be open. Have your hearts open, my dear friends, and willingly, openly, generously give. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentions in another hadith that a person who gives a sakhi, a compassion on a person who gives. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentions that a person who is sakhi, قريب من الله, قريب من الجنة, قريب من الناس, بعيد من النار. That a person who is sakhi, who gives, a generous person, he is close to Allah, he is close to Jannah, he is close to the people, and he is far from Jannah. Whereas al-bakhil, the one who does not give, he is بعيد من الله, بعيد من الجنة, بعيد من الناس, قريب من النار. He is distant from Allah, he is distant from Jannah, he is away from the people, and he is close to the fire of Jannah. So my dear friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this great opportunity to be here. And the reality is, such moments should not really warrant any speeches. That we told the importance of sadaqah, that we told the importance of Sham and the people of Sham and what Ummah is. The things that we mentioned to you, there should have been no need for that at all. This, what is happening itself should be sufficient for us. But anyhow, that has happened, and now that we are here, we've heard what we have heard. We can see the ambulances outside that are going to go there. And you'll be told exactly what the various needs are, the medical needs are. These are our opportunities. This is how we can help the people, my dear friends. And remember that these people who we may look down at, and I'll finish on this, my dear friends. One is, as I mentioned earlier on, that they are very special people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of where they come from. And the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees them through now, and the test that they will go through later on as well. But along with that, you find that it is from the sunnah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You heard a very said the sunnah. One of the sunnahs of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to have love for those who are weak and poor, for the needy ones. This is from the sunnah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would come into Masjid Nabawi, he would be with those, and he would go to the section of the weak and poor and needy people. Nabi Kareem would say, if you want to find me, then find me with them. If you want to find Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of resurrection, my dear friends, this is a great opportunity for us to be and help the weak and the needy. And by helping the weak and the needy, we will be with them on the day of Qiyamah as well. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would not shun away or shy walking or being with the widows and being with the weak people. So neither should we shy away from being with the weak and the destitute, those in need. So they make this opportunity an opportunity for us to acquire our Jannah and acquire our closeness with Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the opportunity and tawfiq. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.